we know that nuclear provides the safest baseload power source there is.
At the same time, it is calling into question the viability of nuclear power in the United States.
We move to cities toward the bright lights, and one of the things that is there that we want, besides jobs, is electricity.
Currently, nuclear energy supplies 11% of the world's energy demands.
The global nuclear energy sector is worth over $100 billion.
We obviously need energy, but is nuclear the way to go?
What is it? How does it work? And ultimately, is it worth the risk?
First, what even is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is the result of splitting really large atoms apart and thereby releasing the energy that held them together. This energy can then be used to turn water into steam and power a turbine.
In the generating stations, the energy released is transformed into electricity.
You see, if the reactors aren't kept cool, the heat can become so intense that will melt the core, resulting in a nuclear meltdown. But it might be worth the risk. In our currently developing world, our goals of ultimate urbanization and globalization can only be met with sufficient supplies of energy.
In recent history, humans have relied on the Earth's limited supply of oil to meet their ever-growing energy demands.
However, as supplies of oil are decreasing and we are becoming more environmentally cautious, new methods of supplying energy are in high demand.
To meet this demand, the use of nuclear energy may be necessary.
The jobs of tomorrow will be jobs in the clean energy sector.
According to the Canadian Nuclear Organization, Canada's nuclear industry employs approximately 71,000 people in Canada alone.
Furthermore, Canada's nuclear energy industry has revenues of approximately $6.6 billion per year.
It also contributes approximately $1.5 billion to the government through both federal and provincial taxes.
It's a plant that will create thousands of construction jobs in the next few years, and some 800 permanent jobs, well-paying permanent jobs, in the years to come. And this is only the beginning.
The reliability of nuclear energy is what really sets it apart from the rest of the crowd.
So if we can't use oil, what are the alternatives?
The immense carbon emissions of coal energy render it so environmentally detrimental that we can't afford to use it.
Perhaps the best thing about nuclear energy is that
really it's almost near zero CO2 emissions.
There are other alternatives like solar and wind energy, but they both have their flaws.
The wind doesn't always blow, and the sun doesn't always shine. What this means is that the amount of time that they are actually generating energy when in use, also known as their capacity factor, is roughly 25%.
Nuclear power plants, on the other hand, have capacity factors of 90%.
The only necessary requirements for nuclear power are that there must be a stable supply of uranium and that there cannot be any technical difficulties.
uranium isn't the main concern. The world's supply of uranium can last for 200 years. And in regards to the necessity of diminishing technical difficulties,
We make nuclear power plants to be the safest things that you could ever imagine. There's tons and tons of redundant safety systems, really to ensure that there are no problems.
Professor John Lee said, via email,
Nuclear energy is the only form of clean energy now available that could provide a significant, reliable supply for the foreseeable future.
So, because of the economic factor and because of the reliability, nuclear is the best alternative, right?
But let's be realistic. We've seen many pros to nuclear energy, yet there's still many cons and drawbacks to it. There are currently 430 nuclear facilities in the world, and 70 are under construction.
Many of them are close to major cities. So the question really is, What's the likelihood of a nuclear meltdown?
There have been many risk assessments over the years by experts from a variety of institutions.
In the 1980s, the German government commissioned a study which predicted that a nuclear meltdown would occur in the next 30 years. And in fact it did, at Fukushima.
What looks like a meltdown. After the quake and the tsunami, a blast at the Daiichi nuclear plant.
The truth is, natural disasters can occur anywhere, so there's always a risk for something to go wrong. People die when something goes wrong.
People die.
The disaster at Chernobyl brought death and disease. It brought the very idea of nuclear power into question. And within the Soviet Union, the trauma of Chernobyl was so great that many see it as the first step in the breakup of the communist regime.
The Ukrainian government spends 10% of their annual budget cleaning up the mess caused by Chernobyl.
$80 billion were spent to clean up Fukushima.
Not only does it cost a lot of money to clean up nuclear radiation, but it also costs a lot of money to build nuclear facilities.
Argument against nuclear power to me is really just the capital cost. It's a very expensive thing in order to build a nuclear power plant.
The main harm of nuclear energy to the environment is nuclear radiation. The radiation not only harms people, but also the animals and plants around them, and renders an area affected by nuclear radiation uninhabitable.
Furthermore, nuclear power plants create nuclear waste, which may be released into the surrounding environment.
All this stuff is sloshing around and is hazardous for anywhere from 10,000 to about 1 million years, depending on what's...
Nuclear weapons are probably the greatest threat to humanity. Nuclear energy has the capacity to level entire cities and completely decimate civilian populations.
Nuclear energy technology could provide temptation towards nuclear proliferation.
Canada building light water reactor, Candy reactors for the Indians is thought to have led to their weapons program.
So if investing in nuclear technology increases the risk of nuclear weapons proliferation, we probably shouldn't embrace the idea.
What are the main issues?
First off, people. Are they better off? On the one hand, nuclear energy provides baseload energy that we desperately need. But on the other hand, if an accident occurs, countless individuals will be affected. Will better technology prevent accidents from occurring?
Next, what's best for the environment? Nuclear energy doesn't release CO2 and may be the most sustainable alternative. But again, if an accident occurs, the environmental effects will be catastrophic. Plus, what about the dangerous radioactive waste?
Thirdly, economically. The nuclear industry provides countless jobs, but the cost of constructing and maintaining nuclear plants, plus cleaning up possible accidents, are immense. Are they worth the investment?
Finally, politically. Does nuclear energy increase the risk of nuclear weapons proliferation? It may, but probably not, because the technologies for developing nuclear energy and creating weapons are completely different. But can we risk it?
This issue comes down to inherent benefits versus possible catastrophic risks.
Is nuclear energy worth the risk?
uranium to be used for peaceful purposes. Be used only for medical research and clean energy. It will. So, boy.